Testing 1, 2. Let me see if I'm in the right place. Not sure if I am. Not sure if this is working or not. Hey, let me know if you can hear me live. Good start. Yeah, I don't know if this is working, so it might not be working. If you can hear me live, let me know. I don't think I did this right, but oh, yep, I am live. It's working. Good. Is that one more? Hey, Greg, one more question for you. Was the thumbnail new or old? This is kind of my version of what Jay's been talking about, not really starting the show when you start the show. But Greg, you can hear me good. Is this the old or the new thumbnail? Next question for you guys. If you can do one more little piece of homework for me, I'd appreciate it. Because I hope it's not the old one. So there's a lot of pre-show stuff that goes on. Every time you have to set things up, set up the thumbnail, do a little bit of. We'll see. Yeah. I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know if it's working though. Anyway, let's start. Purdue has now lost 15 straight Big Ten games, 17 straight P4 games. Purdue has lost 7 straight games this season. Falls to 2-7 after losing to Michigan, 21-16. Before I dig into all the fun and frivolity of tonight's game, I apologize to my sponsors because I'm not going to be all that rosy when you've just lost Purdue. A new thumbnail. Thank you, Steve. Good. When you head from Ross-Ade and you're a little disheartened and maybe down in the dumps like I feel right now, what do? Well, you head towards the fire station. Even when things aren't great, you head towards the fire station. When you're feeling as dark as my background, as moody as my background, like I said last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? Head towards the fire station, turn left, go to AJ's. Just go to AJ's. It's going to lift your spirits, and you're going to get something good to eat, and you're going to have other games to watch that'll be better than what you just watched. Burgers, beef, beer, and at the bottom of your pint, a boiled sports magnet. You can't lose. That's AJ's. EatAJ's.com. Also, if you're in need for a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, a hat, they've got something really cool happening right now over Home Field Apparel. If you're into like the all black thing, blacked out look, they've got these blacked out hats, and Purdue is one of the schools that has one. So you may want to check that out. Check out the Purdue section first, and then if you want to bolster your other school collection, you can get something that says "Fighting Taters" on it, or what was the thing that I can't remember what Anish had on there. And every time I try to think about it, it comes out wrong-minded, or sounding tawdry. I really don't want it to do that. But head over to Home Field Apparel, check out the Purdue stuff, grab something. You can't go wrong by their stuff. It's all good, high-quality stuff. And if you do it right, it's got Purdue stuff on it. It's got Purdue on it. So anyway, at the week 3 or 4 this season, I told you guys that I thought Michigan and Washington were both winnable games because I did not think they're that good a team. After watching today, I think I was right. But here's what I didn't do. You remember I started adjusting my after Purdue didn't get their 4th win in that first part of the season, I started adjusting my expectations and saying, this team doesn't seem to have it. And today they showed why they don't have it. And we're going to hear about moral victories through certain parts of the Purdue media, and you're not going to hear about that from me today. I'm pissed off. And the reason I'm mad is not because Purdue loses another game. I'm mad because it just seems to me like this team has a way of just kind of kicking their own teeth in. Forget about us. Forget about fans. I know these guys are trying. You can see it. I can see the coaches don't want to lose anymore. I can hear it in Odom during the post-game comments. I listened to those. He's not happy. He was really, really not happy. But it's his job to figure this out. He gets paid a lot of money to figure this out. Those coordinators and those positional coaches get paid a lot to figure this out. One thing that was really cool today, the wide receivers brought their hands. They didn't leave them in a box someplace. They were catching the ball. That was cool, right? That's neat. That's a step forward. Defensive backs played pretty well. We had another big interception. Really, really impressive interception, actually. Smiley Bradford was blasting people. He's a safety, right? Free safety or strong. I don't know what he's listed at. Um, so you had some good things happening. Manny Powell remains solid on defense. Correa continues to do what he's been doing all year. CJ Nunley was really, really good. He had a big punch out that led to a touchback while Michigan was going to put on, they had an inevitable touchdown coming, and Nunley punched the ball out. But the thing that kills me about this team is you see what's going to happen before it happens. Like, you know, as a Purdue fan, what's going to happen, and you're just waiting for it to happen. That's because we've been conditioned like Pavlov's dogs, you know, and we see Purdue on TV. We don't start salivating. We start getting down in the dumps because we're like, how are they going to do it this week? Well, this week, what they did early was Ryan Brown made a pretty big mistake in standing in and waiting for a blitz. He saw it coming. And he still wanted to take the shot, and so he didn't get the ball out of his hands quickly. He gets hit, fumble. It was on the 35, I think. Purdue was on a solid drive. Instead, Michigan gets the ball off the fumble. His arm did not come forward. That was the right call by the Big Ten officials. Michigan gets the ball. And I think 2 plays later, there was a 70-yard run by Michigan's running back, and they scored a touchdown in the second half. So that the 2 plays that are going to stick out to me, I'm going to talk about. And the second one was Purdue had the ball on the 49 or 50. I can't exactly remember. Malachi Singleton runs the ball down to third and less than a yard. And instead of getting to the line quickly and just running the ball, Purdue waits and stammers around. And guess what they do? They get Malachi Singleton in the shotgun, and he doesn't get the first down. He loses a yard. So now it's 4th and 2. And what do? They do the same damn thing again and wait. They give Michigan a chance to sub in their beef, right? And then Purdue doesn't get the first down, stalls out at midfield. And Odom, after the game, said we needed a score at that point. I knew that we didn't have enough points to win the game, so I at least wanted to get a field goal. Hats off to Spencer Porath, by the way. He had a 50-yard field goal, inched it over, probably had a yard and a half, 2 yards to spare, so that was good. There were some good things, and that's how this team has been in every game except for Northwestern. There have been some good things, right? But here's what this team doesn't have. They don't have margin for error. We've been saying this and hearing this all season. I'm going to look at the stats here in a second, talk a little bit about if the analytics match up with what I see. Doesn't matter really. What matters is they just keep on losing, and it's frustrating, and it's disheartening, and it makes people that are season ticket holders say, do I want to spend my money on this? By the way, if you're wrestling with this, wrestling with how you're going to finish out the season as a fan, I said it last week, I'll say it again. Don't sell your tickets. Don't sell your tickets because they're going to go to Ohio State or an IU fan. Just don't do that, okay? Eat them. I mean this, okay? Don't go if you don't want to go. I understand their frustration. I understand you not wanting to waste a Saturday or whatever. I'm going to go. I think I've made up my mind. I'm going to go, and I was on the fence, honestly. But I was like, you know who deserves this? The players deserve this. Speaking of players that deserve you to cheer for them on senior day, even though it's going to be gruesome from IU. It's going to be awful. I mean that. I watched IU play Maryland. I watched almost the entire game. IU started off horribly. Maryland's ears were pinned back. They were playing great for about 10 minutes. And I think they were down by a touchdown at the end of that point. And then IU just started just working them. They're so good. And I know there are many of you in the comments who are like, why would you watch IU? Because they're a really good football team, and I like good football, honestly. I have to ignore the fact they're IU, but they're really good. They're really good. They're really sound. And somehow Cignetti has built this team in a way that not only are they good, but they're killers, man. They win a lot of games, and they come into games, and they are ready to play. That is hard to do. Painter always talks about, let's put it in terms we all understand. Painter always talks about having a team on edge, right? And maybe IU wasn't perfectly on edge to start versus Maryland, but they weren't they hadn't dug themselves a hole. And then when they hit their stride and they started playing as good as they're capable of, They beat the hell out of Maryland, right? I would say at times, in fact, I'm going to go on a limb. I think IU looks better than Ohio State this season. This isn't like last year. I know IU's schedule isn't as tough as a lot of teams in the Big Ten, but they are a better team than they were last year. And so Purdue has in front of them now Ohio State next week at Ross-Ade at 1 o'clock for some reason. Really unusual kickoff time. You've got Washington in Seattle. I may or may not be there. And then you have the IU game. So if what I just said is right, that's 3 straight games I get to attend. And I'm not in the best of cheery moods right now. So, but still, I'm going to go to these games. And yeah. All right, let me look at the stats real quick. All right, like I said, Purdue loses their 7th straight game. We're getting into history again. We're getting into that. So the teams that I've seen, the Purdue teams that I've seen that did this, that played this badly, okay? Number one, Odom inherited some of the bad juju from Walters because that 15 straight Big Ten losses, 17 straight Power 4 losses, much of that is not his fault, but some of it is. And he came in this year saying, we're not going to wait around to win. We're not just rebuilding this year, trying to win now. He said that, and I agree with him. And philosophically, this team is not deep. That's part of the reason in the fourth quarter where they get worn down. And it looked like Michigan, to salt away the game, ran the ball 9 straight times. 9 straight times. Exactly what you want to do versus a team. Purdue was forced to use their timeouts, and Michigan just got all the way down to the 15? I don't know. I was listening on the radio at that point. I had to go pick up my daughter from an event. But that's exactly what you want to do. When you're the more established team, when you're the better team, when you're the better personnel team, that's what you want to do. Michigan's freshman quarterback made mistakes, no doubt about it. It's wild to me. They're paying him, $4 million a year, according to reports that there was like a $12 million deal over 4 years, a $10.5 to $12 million deal. Who knows if that's written as a real contract? How could we ever know? Because there is no transparency. But Underwood gets paid a lot of money. So he's a freshman, and he's making freshman mistakes, but he's getting paid millionaire money. He's getting paid NFL money, right? There are a lot of backups in the NFL that don't make that much money, I believe, still. So that's a wild thing in itself. But he still makes mistakes, and he did make mistakes. It wasn't just the interception that was a mistake, though. He did other things, like he missed reads. He missed plays that would have made it worse on Purdue, but that's part of the soup, right? Michigan could be really, really good next year because of Underwood coming back, and they got some other young receivers. But right now, they're just an okay team. Regardless of what Jake Butt says, who Big Ten Network sent him to the game to do the color, which was, blasted home run, by the way, in the World Series. Dodgers just single-run home runs, cut to one run. Dodgers are down by 1 to Toronto. That's kind of a chink in the armor, by the way. That's Max Muncy just hit a massive shot over Yesevich, I think that's his name, who has been great for the Blue Jays. But he hit that. What? They're saying it's only 373 feet. It was a moonshot, but they're saying 373 feet. Looked a lot deeper than that. He killed that thing. Must be a very short left field pole. But anyway, it looks like it's in Toronto. Okay, so... all right, enough. I don't know enough about baseball to talk about it. So let's go. Let's look at this. Bryce Underwood made freshman mistakes. I'm going to continue on talk about Purdue. I know more about it. All right, Ryan Brown, 19 to 24. So on paper, that's an awfully good game. 133 yards, 1 touchdown. So you look at the 19 to 24. So I have a friend who's an IU alum, and he and I talk. He's one of the 5 IU fans that deserves the last couple seasons. He's a good fan. He's been a season ticket holder for a long time. He's a young man, but still. And he said Brown looks pretty good. And I said Brown looks fine. The problem that you look at it, if you have 103 yards passing in the modern era of football, you're not going to win a lot of games. And this is the second or third game like this season where he's putting up, I keep saying Rob Henry type numbers. It's the system and it's Brown. It's both, right? And I like Ryan Brown. You saw him on the sideline trying to get his linemen back into it. This is why Ryan Brown is liked and why he's a captain, why he's beloved by his teammates, because he's a really likable dude. I've met him multiple times. He's a really likable guy. Is he that good of a quarterback? No. I think it's okay we can say that right now, right? Does he have big upside, like he can get a lot better? I don't know. I don't know. I don't see it like Drew Brees when he was young and he was slinging the ball around, throwing interceptions. Like, holy moly, right? That guy, has big upside. Kyle Orton, big upside. We saw it, right? Kyle Orton struggled though. Remember, that was a quarterback battle. I'm trying to think of another one. David Blau and Elijah Sindelar. That was a quarterback battle, right? And they had some growing pains, right? But I don't know if we've seen a Purdue quarterback, save Drew Brees, that is this mistake prone at this point of his career, right? He's not a super young guy, okay? He makes a lot of big mistakes. And he makes mistakes that really, they're costly big mistakes that are pivotal moments of the game. And this team cannot make mistakes like that because the margin of error is too thin. So not a bad game passing wise. Again, Purdue employed the idea that they're going to bring in Singleton, make him a running quarterback. And so Michigan knew it was coming. Michigan's got a bunch of killers on defense, some really, really good athletes. They're not as imposing of a team, right? They're not as big, but they've got some good players. They've got a lot of injuries right now, and Purdue hurt them a little bit. They had more injuries coming out of today, actually. But look at this. Look what happened on the other side. So he completes 19 passes, but he spread the ball around pretty nicely too. Michael Jackson found his hands. That was nice to see. 6 receptions, 58 yards. Nitro Tuttle had a couple really good catches. 5 receptions, 38 yards. E.J. Horton had 5 catches. Malachi Thomas, who he punched the ball in. Great run. Purdue's final touchdown. Then Purdue went for 2. They didn't make it, but Malachi Thomas and Antonio Harris both played well, and they had to spell the injured Devin Maccabee. If you didn't hear, he got his ankle rolled up in practice. It sounds like that's what the story we're hearing, and it sounds like that might be it for the season for him, and that's a shame. So that's a real shame. I would bet that Maccabee doesn't have any regrets, based on what I know from his family, that he really wanted to come back to Purdue. He loves Purdue, wants to get his engineering degree. That's a guy right there that deserves to be cheered for on senior day. And he's not alone. There's some of these guys that Purdue brought in with Odom that have been exemplary football players. I don't know much about them individually. I'm going to be real honest. I don't. But there's some guys you're like, man, I'd like to tell that guy, good job. Thanks for coming to Purdue. I think you would too. So that's my campaign to try to get season ticket holders to go to the games that you've already bought tickets for. Enough of that. Let's see. Rushing the ball. Purdue was solid again. Almost 4 yards of carry across all the guys that run the ball, including Brown, who ended with negative yardage because of sacks. He was not getting a lot of time. Sometimes Michigan blitzed to test him, which was smart. They knew his shoulder was hurting, but he had a pretty tough run where he didn't really want to run. He had a very, very good scramble that kept a drive going from right to left. Yeah. The guy's a great leader, and I think he's got a great attitude. I just want to make it very clear. I don't dislike the man. I like him. I just don't think he's that good of a quarterback. And the problem you've got now everybody from Purdue fans to people that talk on the radio or whatever, all asking the question, what's the issue? Is it the offensive coordinator? Is it the quarterback? Right? Well, fair question. I don't know the answer. Seems like a combination of both. Offensive play calling may have been better this week. But again, and this has been Jay's thesis for weeks. The defense holds Michigan to 21 points. Michigan probably could have punched it in for one more score. So let's say they hold them to 28 legit points. But again, one of those drives was just handed to them on a silver platter at the 50, right? And they had Purdue shanked a punt. Purdue also blocked a punt today. So special teams I'd call it a net positive because of the 50-yard field goal. But those two wash each other out. But the flubbed punt gave Michigan the ball after Purdue did nothing. And I said this on Twitter, Purdue does not play complimentary football. We already said that. So is it insulting football? Is it contrarian football? Whatever it is, whenever given the opportunity for the other one to do something. So the offense does something. The defense has done a pretty good job at trying to slam the door shut. But they do not play complimentary football. This is 2 straight years of that. It plays like losing football. It plays like an offense that never gets into rhythm. Tough to watch. But these running backs, they did admirably. They were not the reason Purdue lost at all. Malachi Thomas, 15 carries, 68 yards, 4.5 yards. Carry Antonio Harris played great, 11 carries, 54 yards. He did most of his work early in the game. Thomas did most of his in the second half. See if there's anything else that stands out. Okay, let me look. Taj Rahel, 13 tackles. And Slusher, Rahel, Slusher, Correa, Powell. All the guys that you've seen the last few weeks play really well. They all play really well. But the numbers weren't as gaudy where it was just like Powell having 20 tackles and Correa having 18 or something. Okay, so this is more of a real defensive, spread of tackles. Tackles for loss. Purdue did it again where got a couple sacks. This is positive. That's good stuff, right? And like Jay says, 28 points. Holding a team to 28 points in the modern era of college football is pretty solid. But again, the offense is doing nothing. Michigan is a good defensive team, but come on, 16 points. 16 points. I'm going to blame the offense. You can blame wherever you want. Here's what we know. They're 2-7. So you can lay blame wherever you want. It's not a good team. Greg McManus is here. He says it's working. I'm going to go through these for a second. Steve Azano's here. Kevin Albuquerque's here. Need to be in verse. Andrew's here. Clay Carter's here. JP Boiler, Gage Martin, all checking in. I appreciate you guys all being here, and you guys are gluttons for punishment as I am. You probably did this tonight. My wife really did not want to watch the game. She's also a Purdue alum, former ticket holder for her. She's not a ticket holder now. But she did not want to watch the game. She came home from gallivanting, which is what wives do on a Saturday afternoon. And she said, we're going to go eat. And I said, game's about to start. I'm going to watch the game. So is that on me? You can sound off here. Am I being a jerk by saying I'm going to watch the game? Remember, I have this hobby right here that I'm talking to you guys about that I really do need to do. And I do take it seriously enough that I say, okay, I'm going to notch out time for games, even when seasons are dog crap. And so I did it again. And it sounds like many of you did it again too. And maybe you regret it afterwards, but let's see. Nate Dolan says this is familiar. I think he saw the, he was just reading the thumbnail, so he's right. And it is a familiar song and dance we're going through. And it is not a moral victory. There is no moral victory. Odom wouldn't say it. I won't say it. Ryan Brown wouldn't say it. I don't know if Golden Black will say it. I don't know who's going to say it, but I'm not going to do it. Maybe Tim Newton would say it. I don't know. I'm not going to say it's a moral victory. That's garbage. All right. Thaddeus Grobaugh says, sad, glad they're still showing fight. I agree with that very much. And that's hard to do for a coach, to continue to get a team to work and try and scratch and claw. I agree. The Noodle says, meh, better than I suppose. Okay. Michael says, everybody, how are you doing tonight? He's furious. So I'm with Michael. Michael, good to see you, Michael. Long time. Greg Manis says Henson play calling and the shank punt were huge bummers. Agreed. Karen Grulock, my buddy, says, okay. Greg McManus remembers that Beaver Fever is the text on Anisha's shirt. If you want to go to Home Field Apparel, Beaver Fever. Yeah. Check that one out. Fighting Taters, Beaver Fever, and there's others. Kibby Dome. These are all really good T-shirts. Karen Grulock says, Boy, Dad, good evening. Disappointing season. It is. And I think you can absolutely speak that way in past tense. The season is already disappointing. There's no doubt. We always do that philosophical game about, would you trade this many for this? And it often is a question about a bucket game win, right? Would you trade all these losses for a bucket game win? You can put that in your brain right now about how you feel. And now the bucket game is still theoretical, but how you feel at 2-7. And I don't think you really want to trade all those wins, whether it's 2 or 4 wins. So 2 more wins, it would be what, 4-3 right now, right? And maybe today would have been more in contention when they're fighting for their bowl game life. Maybe the Washington game would have been in contention. They're not going to beat Ohio State. They're not going to beat IU. And so those type of trades, I don't like them. But I always say, yeah, I'd trade whatever. If you're not going to a bowl game, if you're going to say, okay, 2 wins or 4 wins, and you beat IU, that's an easier decision. But still, boy, it's a long slog of a season, isn't it? It's tough. Motor City Boiler says that Michigan team is not very good. I agree. Adam P says, where was the fight last week? the week before. The Northwestern game is the one that is really the head scratcher to me, more than any of the others. I don't really have as much of a problem with the other games. Maybe I'm misremembering. Well, Rutgers game, I understand your point, but yeah. Terrible season, moral victory. No moral victories. Still sucks. Let's see. Jackson Clark says, long TD rush, shitty punt, turnover in the red zone. Will this team ever stop beating itself? No, they clearly won't. Not this year. I kept thinking they would put one together. I saw somebody do that today. There was a game like that where a 2-win team beat a 2-loss team. I can't remember who it was. And they laid the wood to them pretty good. And it was what I thought this team would do, where they would just kind of put everything together in one game. It just seems like this team does not have it. And that whole idea of not being complementary, not playing complementary football, is kind of the nail that I would hang that thesis on, right? That they've built the case that they can't do it. They can't put it together now, right? They're going to, Jay used to always say slip on the banana peel. It's much more severe than slipping on a banana peel. It's like they took a case of oil and dumped it on the floor, and they're like, okay, now we're going to run across the floor. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah, Noodle's right. That wasn't a moral victory. Just another loss. Joe Ensley said, doesn't matter, but Michigan running play action on 1st and goal from the 4 is a choice. Michigan did a lot of things that I don't. Michigan's a team that I think could and should be better than they are. You talk about a team that's ripe for a good coach to come in and lead them to something special. It seems to me that maybe Sharon Moore, that's the whole thing he's there for. Take the arrows, Sharon. You go out there, we'll give you a stage to be a head coach, and you probably got pushed up a little bit early, and then we get through all of whatever the NCAA is going to dole out to us, and we see if you can float. And then when we find out you're like an 8-9 win guy after a second season, then we can you. That's what it feels like to me. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, but it's what it feels like to me. Michael says team doesn't have killer instinct. He's correct. Greg Mann says I found a family, Purdue fans, who wanted to take their kids to a game. He didn't find a family. He wanted to take their kids. That didn't come out right. They got my 5. I bought the men's basketball tickets I'm using. So convoluted, but I see what you're saying. There was exchange. Or do what Dowd says, eat the tickets. Yeah, so good. Greg found a Purdue family. That's very good. That's the best solution. The problem that I have with bringing kids into this game is I always talk about the marketing wing of Purdue being athletics, right? So you think about when you were, some of you guys are young enough, you're 12, 13 years old in 2000, and Drew Brees was lighting the world on fire, and you were like, I want to be here for more, right? So the poor kids that come to watch Purdue lose, they say, I don't want to come to school here. I do think, though, the students will still be in a pretty decent state unless the Ohio State game is just a bludgeoning, which it could be. But if the Ohio State game, they show fight and they hang around a little while, I think the students will be there for senior day and the final game of the season, even though it's going to be cold, which it always is. And Friday after Thanksgiving, they're going to want to break from their family probably. So Kyle Tupper says, if you're going to the OSU game, are you all right with suiting up to play corner? It's a fair question. And I used to play cornerback when I was younger. I'm a pretty limited cornerback because I'm 5'4". So sure, I'll give it a try, but Chris Clopton's taller than me, and Chris had more athletic tools than I did when he was playing, and he still got picked on. So I'm guessing they put 5'4" out there. It's going to be rough for our Boilermakers. Marshall Briggs says, as a fan of 38 years, I feel terrible about the fact I've lost all faith in the team, and the program won't care again until given a reason to. But seriously, I can't help but not give a shit these days. All right. So I understand it. We don't want apathy, but I know you're not alone, Marshall. So Dan G says, didn't see Branch in the game, see EJ Horton. And okay, so to me, that's a roundabout way of saying someone was held accountable. Here's my major rub with Coach Odom this season. And I hinted at this last week, or maybe I tipped my toe into this a little bit, and I'm going to go all in on this idea right now. Coach Odom and whomever has the ability to hear. Every now and again, I hear parents from the team watch the show. I appreciate it. I hope I don't sound like too much of a jerk. But here's the thing I will say. If you are prone to mental mistakes and you make dumb, boneheaded plays, the basic thing, for instance, the basic thing for a wide receiver is get your hands together and catch the ball, right? Not everything's catchable, but at least knock it down to the point where you stop the ball and it falls to the ground. We have seen too many times this season where wide receivers' hands are far apart. I'm picking on the wide receivers. They're not alone in the mental mistakes. But when you make a mistake and you are a professional athlete, these guys are professional athletes. Let's not forget. When they do that, there should be accountability. I don't care who's behind them. And if no one's prepared to play behind them, that's on the coaches again. So if the coaches can't bring somebody up to play in spite of an awful error, whether it's a stupid fumble or not stopping or slowing down a ball that's right in your breadbasket, these are bad errors. These are mental errors. And there should be accountability. And Odom has not held guys accountable during games hardly at all this season. We haven't seen a quick hook where take a guy out for a couple plays or a possession, right? Take him out for a possession. We don't see it. And that bothers me a lot, especially because Odom's a guy that talks old school, and I think everybody like me likes that. You're like, good, this is what this program needed. You can't talk old school and then not do the old school action. You can't. Because guess what? If you're trying to tiptoe around guys because you don't want them to transfer, I got bad news for you, Coach. There's going to be a lot of transfers at the end of this season. A lot of them. And if that was the reason, I don't think it was. I think he thinks that the drop-off was too dramatic to bring in that next guy, but Purdue's taking on the chin regardless. So there's a big comment there. Big comment on the whole state of things. Jason Eberhardt says, QB1 has got to be a priority in the upcoming portal season. I agree. I would love to see one of these two guys compete with whomever they get, but they got to go get a guy and say, dude, you've got the inside edge. They pay a dude, right? They go get somebody. I would say the two biggest expenditures in the offseason change should be offensive coordinator and quarterback. It's my opinion. By the way, there's the wide receivers coach who I said should be held accountable for as bad as the wide receivers have played. Today they played great again. I don't understand why. I do not understand it. Why the wide receivers take games off. And the whole unit, the whole core takes games off. And they come back and they play solid. They played solid today, right? But somebody reminded me that the wide receivers coach is actually a defensive backs coach by trade. Pretty easy transition. Move more DB coach because DBs have been pretty bad this season. Make two changes, right, on the staff. Defensive backs, offensive coordinator. Maybe it clears things up. The danger that I said this last week, I'll say it again. The danger Coach Odom has with being really, really loyal at this point is it could be he's picking the revolver that he's gonna be taken down with. His coaching staff matters a lot, right? Those guys, the independent time these guys spend with those players matters a lot. So Christina KV says, I understand the frustration. It's hard seeing a team with a capacity to win. Perhaps my expectations are too low, but I feel fine as long as they are competitive. Okay, that's a fine sentiment. The next question is, were you entertained today? Because remember, this is partly entertainment. So I'm not super entertained. And part of the reason I'm not entertained is I have friends that are Michigan fans. I have a lot of friends that are Michigan fans because of working in Michigan and just kind of the nature of my business. I've had a lot of Michigan people around. And I got a text from two of them together that don't usually align. And I didn't have anything to say other than it's going to be rough for Purdue. And yeah, I'm sick of that. By the way, Michigan cheated and stole Purdue's Big Ten championship in 2022. So let's see. I'm going to go down here. AJ says it's evaluation time for players now. Agreed. That's a very good point. Yep. So I think they're looking at everybody on both sides. Boy, this thing just skipped ahead on me. James Farrat says, as long as Purdue shows fight, I'm invested. Okay, that's fair. You guys are both saying the same thing. I'm not bailing. I understand that, but I'm very frustrated. And so we're seeing, I think Christina says, She's not really all that frustrated. I think you said that. Um, I don't know. That may not be fair, but I thought that's what you said. So there's shades of gray here. And that's okay. Yeah, John Hawk says we still went to Michigan and had a chance to win, beat ourselves, and it sucks. And on the positive side, I took Purdue and yeah, a lot of people. I don't know. Yeah, I don't understand betting. I don't bet. I just don't. I don't like it. I don't like that it's so easy for everybody. For all you degenerates out there, you can lose your money so quickly. But there's a proverb about a fool and its money, so I'm not going to get into it. Sounds like you had a good night. Congratulations. Let me keep going. Joe Inslee says, do you think the team is laying the groundwork for improvement next season? I know it's hard to say with the portal. This is a great question, and it's a question I can't answer. This is not old football, right? This is not where there was a punitive thing for a guy that was going to transfer. Transferring is not punished where you have to sit out. Transferring is rewarded. Think about that for a second. Think about the change that is for anyone who's trying to build a program. Because a guy would say, wait a second, I don't want to sit out next year, so I'm not going to transfer. Back in the olden days, right? But now it's like, I'm going to check it out because I'm probably going to get a raise, right? And if you're coming off a team that won 2, maybe 3 games per this year, you're going to be like, man, there's some pretty green grass on the other side of this fence. It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing. And I don't know what groundwork's being laid. And I do believe old school program building would have said, this is how you get closer. You go from being really bad to fighting and missing, almost winning, to winning. Makes sense in the old school way. It makes sense even in the NFL because you have some roster stability. This is not that. And I blame everyone who voted for whatever this bullshit we have at college football right now. How do you dig out of a hole other than catching lightning in a bottle? How do you do it? I mean, I guess everyone would say you go pay a coach $1 bazillion, right? Go look at those numbers, though, if you're one of those people that says it's that simple. Go look at the numbers of how much money is being thrown around for head coaches. Go look at Kentucky, who's paying $11.5 million or $12 million, whatever he said, and they have 2 wins. 1 or 2 wins. What do they have? There are a lot of programs that are paying money that aren't very good. And then there are a lot of programs, a handful of programs that are paying a lot of money, and they're very, very good. Where do you go, though, right? How do you build a program? I don't know the answer. There's no rules built in for parity. This is very easy, by the way. I came up with this idea. The Big Ten should try to create parity within the conference. You already load them up with games, Big Ten. Okay, now here's what you do, real simple. If a team was at the bottom of the conference, give them a better schedule the next year. You can do that. It's not difficult. If you want the league not just perpetually blowing itself up, coaches getting thrown out with a short fuse, give coaches a chance to win a few games. And ADs, let's do the same thing, right? There's no other parity rules around. There's none in the way the structure of the rosters are, none in the way there are non-existent contracts. So how are you supposed to do it? By the way, top of the 9, 1 out. Top of the 9th, 1 out. 1 run deficit, 4-3. Dodgers are down. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Gerald Huff, Jerry says, Purdue just doesn't have the roster to compete with the schedule they've got. That's true right now. I agree with that. They surely don't have the depth. Steve Azana says, wasn't impressed by Underwood. Watched with a Michigan fan who shared that the fan base is not pleased with the performance this year. That makes me laugh. Typically, I'd say he's a freshman, but he's a professional athlete. Yeah, he's got a big arm. I don't know if it's a good, talented arm, meaning it's strong. He throws the ball with a lot of zip, and everybody talks about arm angle, right? That's so cute to talk about arm angle because Pat Mahomes does it. It's not great for a quarterback who's still developing because they need to work on just making every pass they can, and he misses on a lot of passes. Does he have a big arm? Yes. Is he a good athlete? Yes. Does he miss on reads? Yes. Does he miss passes? Yes. Is he getting paid $3 to $4 million this year? Yes. Holy moly, it's a weird bowl of circumstances, isn't it? So I can understand Michigan fans being angry, but here's the other thing. They didn't pay him. Their damn collective paid him. And their collective, the biggest chunk of money came from somebody who has no no connection to the University of Michigan athletic department other than his girlfriend is a UM alum. Yay! Look what we're sitting in, our own feces. All right. Let's see. Marshall Briggs. Oh, no. I'm going to keep going down. Trying to get through here. Let's see. Anybody else can... I think everybody's commented, sounded off. Steve Vazana says, my entire life, I've been much of a bigger college football fan than NFL. That has started to shift the last 2 to 3 years and has only gone further this year. Yeah. At least the NFL, there is a pathway to get better. There's a structure to get better. You can build a roster. Everybody has to deal with a salary cap. There's a consequence for spending like a drunken sailor. That doesn't exist in college football. As a result, there will never be parity, right? It was bad before. It's going to be worse now because, man, it's hard to see my way out of this right now. And I hope someone in the comments, because I'm going to get off here in a second. I've been on for far too long. Someone in the comments can explain to me the good way out of this, the easy way out, other than saying go spend some more money. Because that looks like the only way. The problem with saying just spend money is it's not a guarantee. And many of my friends have said it's that simple. It's not a guarantee, though. And here's why it's not a guarantee, if you want to know. We heard last week one of Purdue's athletic department guys, I don't know what his title was, tell the Golden Blackboard, oh my gosh, tie game in the World Series. It's 4-4. This is fun. This is like the best game because it's coming down to last inning. This is awesome. That's great. 4-4. Wow, the looks on their faces, they thought they were all dead. The Dodgers lineup did. The dugout did. Speaking of overspending, yeah, I don't know what my point is. I don't know where I was. Someday, I need someone to tell me the way out of this other than spending. I think that's what I was talking about. So you say just spend money. Okay, here's the problem. Okay, Purdue has put a cap on themselves in that. They said we're going to play within the way the rules are structured. Okay, so they're going to pay the $21 million for the roster. Cool. Michigan's collective is going to spend an extra $20 million on top of that. So you're not ever going to compete with that. Ohio State may spend an extra $30 million if they don't get a championship this year. So where you're spending $20 million on your roster, which is a ton of money, it's a ridiculous amount of money, they're spending $40, $50 million. And then every year or two, a team's just going to pop up like Texas Tech and saying, all chips on the table, here's billionaire oil guy who's going to put another $30 million into the hopper. Anish asked the question, why do you need a collective? Why is there, you need it. Here's why you need it. There's two reasons. I thought there's one that's good, and they're the same thing. And I said this during the Handsome Hour. The one that's good is that, or the one that's bad, is its unfettered lack of responsibility, rich guys doing whatever they feel like and feeling like they're in charge of the destiny of the ship. So rich guys saying, I'm going to put in, like, what's his nuts from Barstool, I'm going to put $3 million of my own money in to go get Underwood. That's the story that I've heard. Okay, so he gives $3 million of his own, and he rallies this group together. It's a subgroup of the collective to go get Underwood, to steal him from another program. And they were successful because they put, $10.5 to $12 million, depending on what story you believe, okay? So that's him being, oh, look at me, I did it. We did it, right? This group of 5 guys, we bought that quarterback. Cool. Here's the bad side, okay? The bad side is they can run roughshod. They can do whatever the hell they want. And there's no record. You don't really know how much was paid. Because if it's done within the public university, okay, they have to release those records eventually, the money spent. They don't have to do that with that collective. On the other side, a private institution doesn't have to release the money they're spending either. So all sorts of messy stuff. And the NCAA can't do a damn thing because they're a toothless tiger. Mobile93, I haven't seen your comment, so I'm going to talk to you. Says, I think there's more parity from top to middle teams. Bottom teams are screwed. And Purdue happens to be in the lowest of their low cycle, really. I mean, to be bad this long, I don't know what the record is for how many in a row Purdue has won or lost of a Big Ten, in the Big Ten schedule. That was a bad strike call to end the inning. Bad strike. I was outside. Yeah. Yeah. So now we go into bottom of the ninth. Bottom of the ninth. The meat of Toronto's order is coming up. It looks like Guerrero's about to be up. Okay. So every time I do it, I get sidetracked. This is why Jay hates me doing this. Yeah, Purdue's in a deep, dark place right now. And I hope Odom can get it out. Paul Richwine says college football needs to do what soccer does in Europe. You're talking about relegation. Transfer fees to get players. I like this. This is good. Transfer fees to get players, rights to teams, and take players from. So if you go back and you dig in the Boiled Sports streaming archive, not very far, I set out a whole group of rules that I thought would help this before it happened. And that was one of the things that I said is there would be actually in my system, there'd be a strata. So if you were a starter for more than one game in college football, the fee would be heavier. Okay? Full stop. So a guy let's say you got a guy on Purdue's bench. Let's say Morissette, who hasn't played at all this year because he's injured. His fee would be less than who's the guy that we could Michael Jackson's a senior. Sorry, I'm blanking right now. But his fee would be less than a starting wide receiver. His fee would be less than, darn it, can't think of anybody right now. So that's my idea. But it doesn't matter because there's no structure. It's not happening. But yeah, good idea. Good idea. Christina says, I don't see how Purdue can compete in the current environment with the extensive money being spent. Kyle Tupper says, screw it. Just give us a high school draft at this point. There's so much stuff happening at the high school level that's shady right now, too. That's the thing. All the 2-bit gangsters shifted downwards to high school and AAU and things like that. There is money changing hands right now in AAU basketball and whatever you call it, summer league baseball. Lots of money is changing hands because of the court rulings that led to the NIL and that led to the portal. All these losses. It's wild. John Younger says, has Henson always been this conservative? I'm not familiar with his best season as OC, whatever, whenever that was. Okay, so Henson was not a play caller at USC at all. It's explained to me that the last time he was a play caller was at Missouri. Big thought here, guys. Odom's best season, I talked to you guys about this a little bit. Odom's best season was when he had a genius at OC and he had a future NFL quarterback. I said this already. That offensive genius is at Tennessee now coaching, and he had an offensive genius again at UNLV, who now is coaching at Sacramento State. We've talked about this on the Handsome Hour if you've missed it. Henson in that. Doesn't look like that right now. He is conservative. And Purdue's playing, I talked about this, playing small ball, I called it, in the offseason. Purdue playing slow to keep the ball from the other team. You have to execute if you're going to do that. You can't make big mistakes if you're going to play small ball. You have to be flawless, right? And Purdue is not that. So, all right, that's it. I'm going to call it a day because now I'm talking us in Doug and Angie Lotta says, coaching don't play, put it in NIL. Coach don't play, put it in NIL. So I guess your point is you need guys to execute the plan. It's not the coach's fault. Okay. Yeah. So there's Guerrero puts it to the warning track. One down. All right. That's it. I'm going to watch the game. Sobe Maddie 5 says Purdue has lost 15 straight conference games. Yep. Last one, November 25th, 23rd. Yeah. You missed that. I talked about that. That was how I began the thing, man. So yeah, that's grim. 15 straight conference games, 17 straight games against Power 4 conference foes. So right on. All right. Have a great evening, guys. God bless you. Hammer down. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.